Hey, what's cooking good looking? And right now, it is the most wonderful time of the year. And what I mean by that is, of course, football season. And if you're anything like me, who enjoys watching football and also eating, don't worry, I got you guys with some awesome ideas for some finger foods that will having all your family and friends asking you to make them every time you guys get together to watch football. So let's get started. So first things first, we're going to get everything set up. This requires a lot of prep at the beginning, but once everything's done, it's going to pretty much be pretty quick on cooking. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to use two different types of onions here. We're going to go ahead and use a red onion, and we're going to go ahead and dice it up pretty fine. This is going to be for the pico that we're going to make with this to put on top. We're only going to use half the onion, and for the dice, it doesn't have to be super fine, but just big enough, so it's not overpowering or too big of chunks. So go ahead and dice this up. Let's move on to the yellow onion. This is going to be for your hamburger meat, for your nachos. So just go ahead and we're going to use half this onion, and we're just going to do a super simple slice in here for about a 1/4 inch, and it should be good to go. Now that the onion is done, we're going to go ahead and move on to the green onions. We're going to go ahead and peel them, and we're going to go and slice the whites and the greens, but we're going to separate the whites from the greens because they're going to be using two different ways. The whites are going to be used into the hamburger meat for the nachos, and the greens are going to be used for a garnish over the top. For the garlic, we're going to take half of the garlic and we're going to mince it up because it's going to be used for the hamburger meat also, and then the other half we're going to use for a homemade tomatillo sauce that we're going to make with the poblano and serrano peppers. we're gonna use 1 bell pepper, and we're gonna take the seeds out, and then we're gonna do a little bit of a fine dice to them, and this is also gonna be incorporated into your meat for your nachos. I find it a lot easier to cut bell peppers this way, so you can get a nice cut on them, and also it's easier to make a good dice on them. So if you cut them a different way, that's fine. You don't have to cut them like me, but I just find this easier. For the red juicy boys, we're just going to do a little bit of a dice on these, and these are going to be for your pico anyway, so just go ahead and feel free to dice them as small as you want or how big as you want. I did them a little bit bigger just because that's what I enjoy more, and it's easier to see over the garnish. So these, if you don't know what these are tomatillos. These are basically like a Mexican tomato, I would say it was. But anyway, you can find these at pretty much at any store. I use 2 of them. What we're gonna do with these, we're gonna go ahead and just cut the tops off, and then we're gonna put them in a pan, and we're gonna put it on broil to get that nice toasty outside for the sauce. For the jalapeños, we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit less than a 1/4 inch slice on these, because we're gonna throw these into some vinegar, and we're gonna pickle them a little bit, give my homemade pickling juices, make it a little bit extra, make it taste real nice. For the long green boy, we're just going to cut the ends off, take the seeds out, and then we're going to cut it in half because it's going to be broiled in the oven anyway. We're going to go with and start making our little pico. We're going to take the red onions and mix them in with the tomatoes. Once that happens, we're going to put a little lemon juice, and then we're going to put a little bit of vinegar and some salt in there and mix this up, and it should be good to go. Just let it sit. Oh, also, normally you put a little bit of cilantro in here, but I couldn't find any, and I wasn't going to go search around in many stores just to get some cilantro, so you can take it or leave it. You can put it in, you don't have to, but I just couldn't find it. For the jalapeños, we're going to go ahead and put them into a bowl. Use about 4 tablespoons of vinegar. I use 2 different types of vinegar here. I used a spicy white vinegar, and then I used a red pepper spicy vinegar because, just to give a little extra kick to it. So, and you can add a little bit of salt and mix it up. And I also decided to throw in some lime juice in there just to give it a little bit different taste to it. And we're going to mix it up and just set it aside until it's time to serve. Now we're going to go ahead and broil our tomatillos and our green long boys, and I'm going to go ahead and throw them whole garlic pieces into there too, and it's going to give it a nice taste to it with that nice and roasted broil to it. So go ahead and put these in the top rack, add a broil until they get a nice black coat over them. They're not burnt, so don't worry. I'm gonna get our meat going, so I used half chicken sausage here, and I used half hamburger meat. So here I used Voodoo Chef's red seasoning. If you guys are interested, I'll go ahead and put a link down in the description if you guys want to go ahead and order it. I used about 3 to 4 tablespoons of this seasoning. I used about a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of salt, and then I used a teaspoon of ground black pepper. And of course, you know, I gotta go ahead and throw some chili flakes in there. I used about a teaspoon of chili flakes. Then go ahead and give that a good mix up to get everything incorporated. And then go ahead and set that aside for now. By now, everything should be done roasting in the oven. Mine took about 10 to 15 minutes. So right now we're gonna go ahead and throw those into a food processor and give them a good mix up. And then we're gonna go ahead and throw some salt in there, add a little bit of chili to it to give it a little extra spice, and it was good to go. We're gonna go ahead and do everything into a cast iron, you know, for easy cleanup, and it's big enough for everybody to pick off of. So we're gonna go ahead and throw some oil into the pan. I went and used avocado oil, just trying it out. I like how it uses. So we're gonna go ahead and throw our onions, green onions, bell peppers, and everything into the pan and start cooking them to get them nice and cooked through. This is the color we're looking for, so we can go ahead and season them up with a little bit of salt and some pepper, and then mix it up, get a good mix up, and then pretty much what we're gonna do after that is throw our meat into the pan and get that cooked all the way through so you don't see any more pink. I break it up as I throw it in there. It just makes it a little bit easier to break up as you're cooking it instead of one big piece at a time. This is what we're looking for, everything cooked through and there's no more pink, so everything's pretty much ready. So we can go ahead and strain this to go ahead and give our cast iron a little bit scrub down to get some of that stuff off from the bottom. And then we're gonna go ahead and throw some cheese out the bottom. It's got a nice crisp at the bottom. So here I use 3 cheddar cheese and some Kobe Jack. First layer is gonna be chips. And then we're gonna throw our hamburger meat mixture over the top. And then once we got a little bit of a good layer, we're gonna throw some more cheese over the top. And then we're gonna do another layer of chips and then another layer of meat. And then we're gonna put a generous amount of cheese over the top. So if you're anything like me, I love cheese, so go ahead and put as much cheese or a little as cheese as you want on here. I went and put a little bit extra on here, and then you're gonna throw this into a 350-degree oven until the cheese is melted, and then turn it to a broil for about 5 minutes to get that cheese a little bit of golden brown. While we wait for that, we're gonna go ahead and make a little bit of a sour cream sauce to go over the top. So this is about 4 or 5 tablespoons of sour cream. I use a little bit of a cilantro lime sauce that I have, which is about a tablespoon. I threw a teaspoon of vinegar in there and mix that up to get a nice consistency for drizzling over the top, so it makes it a little bit easier to put over the top. If it's still a little bit thick, go ahead and throw a little bit of warm water at a time until you get the consistency that you want. This is the color we want in the oven, so we're gonna go ahead and pull it out, and we're gonna go ahead and dress it with our tomatillo sauce. Put as much as you want on there because it's very, very delicious. And if you have some left over, you can go ahead and use it for some tortilla chips later. Then we're going to take that sour cream that we just made and put it over the top. Again, put as much as you want because it's delicious and it's yummy. Then grab that pico and throw as much as you want over the top. And then after that, we're going to take some of those jalapeños and make sure you put enough on there so you can get some as much as you want. I love spicy peppers, so I'm going to use a lot here. So guys, I have a question for y'all. So what is your favorite team, and what team do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this year? Go ahead and put your comments down below. With me being from Tampa, my team is Tampa Bay, and hopefully they win it this year. So that pretty much puts this one in the books, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this dish. And if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. It lets me know that you guys enjoy this type of content. And go ahead, since you already here, if you guys enjoy the rest of my content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. And I hope you guys enjoy your guys' football nachos. And I hope you guys have an awesome day.